Hi YouTubers, Jeff Cote here with another session of Ask PYS. So we've got a fellow boater, John. John's got a sailboat and he's got a Freedom, so Xantrex, Freedom 20 modified sine wave inverter charger and with the Heart interface panel. I recently watched your video where you said you would never use a non-sine wave inverter. I thought it was a good and reputable inverter. Why would you recommend to replace it? You're right. I mean, remember, time changes everything, right? What was good one day is not good later on. So when this Xantrex inverter charger came out, it was awesome. I mean, here in the Pacific Northwest, there's literally thousands upon thousands and thousands of boats that have it just locally. It was the #1 inverter. It was really relatively affordable. And who doesn't want an inverter? Most of us do. Not everyone, but most of us do. And they ended up having this Xantrex Freedom inverter charger. The challenge is, and by the way, if you see it on your boat, it's probably got this kind of grayish color, and it's got a distinctive panel as well. The challenge is it's modified sine wave. And what does modified sine wave mean? It's basically almost like a square wave, you know? And what that means is that it's not a true sinusoidal wave that we would have when we connect to shore power or the grid or a generator or a modern true sine wave inverter. And that square wave means that practically all, but most inductive loads, and there's a big distinction between inductive and resistive loads. What's a resistive load? A resistive load is a toaster, a heater, okay? There's not a lot of things that we use on AC anymore that are resistive load. A light bulb is a resistive load, right? Inductive loads are what? Battery charger, vacuum, Nespresso machine, blender, microwave, TV. A lot of stuff is inductive. The stuff that we care about are inductive. And those inductive loads hate working on a square sine wave. They want a true sine wave. Case in point, I had a boater, bought 3 Nespressos. 3. Never talked to the owner the first time. Bought an Nespresso, tried it. Nespresso didn't work. Returned it. Bought another Nespresso. Didn't work. This time, tried the Nespresso at home. The 3rd one. Worked, brought it to the boat, stopped working. Then I got a call. And sure enough, what was it? This client was running an Nespresso machine, inductive load, on a square wave inverter. And so what we ended up doing is literally removing the inverter and changing it to a true sine wave. So that would be reason why you would want to change that inverter from a square wave to a true sine wave. But the other reason, and I think that's a reason unto itself that's also good, inverter chargers are a pretty sophisticated piece of equipment. Think about it, it's basically a computer on your boat. It's electronically, it's probably on the electrical side of your boat, it's probably the most important piece of electrical equipment besides your battery. And it's complicated. It's a computer, right? This is not trivial, not at all. And if you've got a piece of equipment that not only provides an inverter, but a charger, and it's 15 or 20 years old on your boat, the question is, how long are you gonna wait before changing it? And is it important to you, right? Some of us don't care for the inverter, but you might care for the charger. And in the summer, we have this happen all the time. I remind boaters, inverters and chargers don't die at the dock when they're not being used. They die when they're actually being used, when you're using your boat. And in the summer, sure enough, I've got technicians come up and on a Monday morning or Tuesday morning, I'm like, by the way, you're getting on a float plane, you're going to the airport, here's a box, and you're flying out to a destination because this boater lost their inverter charger and now they're at the dock and their vacation stopped. Without an inverter charger, you're really not gonna have a fun trip, especially if you have one and you're used to having one. So what I tell boaters, I'm like, don't wait till it fails to change it because our vacations, our time on the water are pretty sacred, right? We don't have enough time on the water. And the way to get more time on the water is to have a reliable experience with our electrical systems. And a way to do that is if you have a modified sine wave inverter on your boat, it's not that it wasn't good when it was installed, things are better now. Take the time, change it out for a true sine wave inverter, and then all those inductive loads that I talked about, like a blender, a Nespresso machine, a TV, your computer, power tools, battery chargers, all those things are going to work really well with a true sine wave inverter. Do it for reliability and do it for those loads.